Hello and welcome to the Myschool channel. My name is Angela, and in this video we are going to be tackling the Literature CBT JAMB question for the year 2023. Please do not go anywhere, we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Myschool channel. In this video, we are going to be reviewing questions 41 to 60. Let's begin with question 41. So this passage is on scene prose. We have to read and analyze the passage and use it to answer the question that follows. So let's begin with the passage. Jose Palacios, his youngest servant, found him floating naked, with his eyes open in the purifying waters of his bath, and thought he had drowned. He knew this was one of the many ways the general meditated, but the ecstasy in which he lay drifting seemed that of a man no longer of this world. So this prose is from Gabriel Garcia Marquez, the general in his labyrinth. The master in this passage above is obviously in a state of A, trance, B, drowning, C, forgetfulness, and D, labyrinth. So let's look at the passage now. At the beginning of the passage, we see that Jose Palacios was floating naked in his bath, and his servant thought he was drowning, right? So this means that the answer to this question can be drowning, because the servant's initial thought was that he was drowning, but later on we discovered that that was not the case. So when you read further, you see that the oldest servant said he knew this was one of the many ways the general meditated. Usually when someone is meditating, and they're usually in a state of trance. So this is why the answer to this question is A, trance. Question 42. A metrical pause occurring in the middle of a line in a poem is called A, tetrameter, B, rhythm, C, caesura, and D, assonance. So the answer to this question is C, caesura. Caesura is a metrical pause that occurs in the middle of a line in poetry. It is usually marked by a comma or a semicolon. So whenever you see a comma or a semicolon in the middle of a line of poetry, you will know that caesura has been used. So answer to this question is C, caesura. Question 43. The fair breeze blew, the white foam flew, the furrow followed free. We were the first that ever burst into that silent sea. The dominant figure of speech in the above passage is A, repetition, B, alliteration, C, paradox, and D, rhyme scheme. The answer to this question is B, alliteration. Alliteration is the repetition of initial consonant sounds in a line of poetry. You can see that with the repetition of the F sound in the various lines, the repetition of the blue sound in breeze blew. You can see in foam flew and furrow followed free. We see the repetition of the woo sound in we were, and then the repetition of this sound in silent sea. All of this signifies the use of alliteration in the poem. Rhyme scheme is present in the poem, but you have to know that rhyme scheme is not a figure of speech. It has to do with the structure of the verse. So it has nothing to do with figure of speech. Our answer to this question is B, alliteration. Question 44. Karen, these oily tears dripping down the tears on your depressed face will one day be staunched, I swear. So this poem is from Ibiwari Ikiroko's Oily Tears. The tone of the poet is A, supplicatory, B, optimistic, C, sympathetic, and D, piteous. So the answer to this question is B, optimistic. To be optimistic means to have a feeling of hope for a better future. So in this case, the poet is optimistic. He believes that one day the tears of this depressed person will one day be staunched, will one day be stopped. And then the use of the exclamation mark signifies intensity in that emotion, in that belief that there will be a better hope for the future. So it can't be sympathetic or piteous, because though the lines of the poem implies that the reader should feel sorry for the object being described, the tone of the poet is different. He does not feel sorry for the person, rather he feels that there is hope for a better tomorrow. So this is why the answer to this question is optimistic. Question 45. So this excerpt is an unseen drama. It's gotten from Wole Soyinka's The Beautification of Area Boy. We are meant to analyze the drama and then try to answer the question. Cyclist gets down and begins to prop his bicycle. So the cyclist says, all right, if you are sure it won't take long. The barber says, I am known for my lightning clippers. Even the soldiers know me. I can shave the head of an entire battalion between one coup and the next. Sit down and relax your back. Cycling is not easy when you've abandoned it for some time. So the literary devices in the dialogue above are A, hyperbole and allusion, B, irony and parody, C, allusion and paradox, and D, humor and irony. So the answer to this question is A, hyperbole and allusion. Hyperbole refers to the overstatement or exaggeration of a particular thing with the hope of creating an impression on the readers, usually humor, to make them laugh. So in this case, there is the use of hyperbole. When you say you can shave the head of an entire battalion between one coup and the next, is an over-exaggeration, because realistically, it is really hard to shave the head of an entire battalion. So this is why there is the use of over-exaggeration. Then we can also see the use of allusion. Allusion is the reference to history, mythology, or famous literary works with the hope that the reader can make a connection between what the person is saying and that particular thing that you are referring to. In this case, the dramatist is referring to a very interesting piece of historical detail. So in this case, it's referring to the coups of the military era, where battalions will invade various territories in a country to overtake the government in those territories. So this is the reason allusion is one of the literary devices used in this dialogue. So answer to this question is A, hyperbole and allusion. Question 46. I had not taken the first step in knowledge. I had not learned to let go with the hands. The above lines is an example of A, alliteration, B, apostrophe, C, repetition, and D, assonance. The answer to this question is repetition. Repetition involves repeating ideas or phrases in a particular text. This is done to make things clearer or more memorable to the readers or the audience. So in this case, there is the repetition of I had not in both of this expression. The repetition of I had not is meant to show the fact that there is a lack of action or progress on the part of the speaker. In this case, he had not taken the first step in knowledge. He had not learned to let go with the hands. So he shows that he is still ignorant because he had not done certain things to help to improve his knowledge. So answer to this question is repetition. Question 47. So this question is based on Maya Angelou's Caged Bird. We are to read the excerpt and to answer the question that follows. The free bird thinks of another breeze, and the trade winds soft through the sighing trees. What is the effect of the tree sighing in this verse? A, it shows where the bird sleeps. B, it shows the tree is sleeping. C, it indicates that the bird is carefree. And D, it indicates that it is still early in the day. So the answer to this question is C, it indicates that the bird is carefree. When we look at the imagery that surrounds this free bird, they're talking about how the breeze is blowing around and the trees are sighing. This indicates an exchange of air, right? And the exchange of air, the breeze blowing, all of this signifies a sense of relaxation. It also signifies a sense of freedom and lack of care or worries. So it shows that the bird is carefree. So this is why the answer to this question is C. It indicates that the bird is carefree. You know you can take practice questions with our simulated JAMB CBT past question. All you need to do is to click on the link in the description below. This takes you to the Myschool website. There you can download the Myschool mobile app for your Android devices and the Myschool software for your laptops and computers. Please go ahead and start practicing. Now on to question 48. Don't panic, be calm. If you are somehow upset, try to regain your composure. The speaker in the excerpt above is A, hopeless, B, afraid, C, confident, and D, uncertain. The answer to this question is confidence, and you can see that with the use of short imperative sentence in the excerpt. Don't panic, be calm. They are short and is trying to give the person advice. It's telling the person not to panic, to be calm, and if the person is upset, you should try to regain his composure. All of this advice given is the sort of advice that comes from someone who is confident and understands that whatever is going on around him should not affect his composure. And so the answer to this question is confidence. I believe you're enjoying this content. If yes, please do not forget to hit the like button, click on the subscribe button, and lastly tap on the notification bell to get informed as soon as we release the next videos. Question 49. This question is based on a government driver on his retirement. I shall booze and zoom. Contains a device called A, alliteration, B, imagery, C, onomatopoeia, and D, hyperbole. So the answer to this question is C, onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia involves the use of a word that resembles or imitates the natural sound that that object being labeled makes. So in this case, the word zoom is imitating the sound that a vehicle makes as it is accelerating or moving down a particular road. So in this case, zoom involves the use of onomatopoeia. Sometimes we might feel the need to pick alliteration because alliteration is the repetition of a particular sound. But you should note that the sound that is being repeated here is the oo sound, which is a vowel sound, but alliteration involves the repetition of consonant sounds. So that can be the answer to our question. The answer to this question is C, onomatopoeia. Question 50. The sun used to smile in my heart. The line is an example of A, apostrophe, B, personification, C, rhetorical question, and D, zeugma. The answer to this question is B, personification. Personification involves the assigning of human qualities to inanimate objects. In this case, the sun is an inanimate object, yet it is assigned the quality of smiling, which is a human quality. So this is why the answer to this question is B, personification. Question 51. The use of two contrasting words that are placed side by side is called A, oxymoron, B, euphemism, C, pun, and D, antithesis. So the answer to this question is A, oxymoron. Oxymoron is the use of two contrasting words placed side by side to create certain paradoxes or complexities about the situation that is being described. An example of the use of oxymoron is my experience at the Holiday Inn was a bittersweet one. In this case, we are using two contrasting words, two words that contradict each other, bitter and sweet, to describe the experience at the Holiday Inn. So in this case, the use of bittersweet makes sense because it is explaining how the experience was composed of both good and bad elements, and then the combination of both experiences makes it bittersweet. So our answer to this question is A, oxymoron. Question 52. The combination of two or more metaphors is called A, monometaphor, B, dimetaphor, C, mixed metaphor, and D, combined metaphor. The answer to this question is C, mixed metaphor. Mixed metaphor is the combination of two or more metaphors in a particular expression in a way that may seem illogical or confusing to the audience, but it actually contains a meaning that the writer or the speaker of this particular expression intends to pass across. So an example is, I understand that he is a shining star, but we need to grab the bulls by the horn. So we can see the use of two metaphors in this expression, the fact that he is a shining star and the fact that we need to grab the bulls by the horn. There are two metaphors, but when you use it together, you have to really interpret each of them in order to understand what the speaker or the writer is trying to pass across to you. So answer to this question is C, mixed metaphor. Question 53. Dash are generally regarded as brief but purposeful references within a literary text to a person, place, event, or to another work of literature. A, referrals, B, chiasmus, C, metonymy, and D, allusions. The answer to this question is allusions. Allusions is a literary device that involves a subtle reference to another literary text, to a place, to a person, or to an event, with the aim that the reader will be able to piece together the information that is given to them. So an example of allusion is, he sold me for 30 pieces of silver. In this case, we are talking about a betrayal. This is a reference to Judas's betrayal of Jesus in the Bible, where he sold out Jesus for 30 pieces of silver. So our answer to this question is D, allusions. Question 54. An action in a play that stimulates the audience to pity a character is A, props, B, parody, C, pyrrhic, and D, pathos. So the answer to this question is pathos. Pathos is the deliberate use of words in a way that will evoke the emotion of pity in the minds of the reader. So this can be done through deliberate word choice, the use of meaningful language, or the use of stories or illustration that help to evoke that emotion in the reader. So our answer to this question is D, pathos. Question 55. This question is based on BAT. Use the excerpts to answer this question. Where light pushes through, a sudden turning upon itself of a thing in the air, a dip to the water, and you think, the swallows are flying so late. Swallows? The dominant poetic device in the excerpt is dash, A, rhetorical question, B, imagery, C, alliteration, and D, paradox. The answer to this question is imagery. Imagery is the use of words to help to paint images in the minds of the reader. In this case, we can see the use of words and phrases at the beginning of the excerpts to paint visual images in our minds. Where the light pushes through, a sudden turning upon itself of a thing in the air, a dip to the water, and you think the swallows are flying so late. These lines help to paint pictures of a creature flying through the air and turning around and dipping into the water. All of these images are created in our minds as we read these lines of the poem. Rhetorical question is also used in this excerpt. We can see that in the last line, but it is not the dominant literary device used in this excerpt. It is only used in the last line. But imagery is used in the first 5 lines, and this is why it is the dominant poetic device used in this excerpt. Answer to this question is B, imagery. Question 56. When an object is invested with a meaning beyond its immediate reference, it becomes A, a symbol, B, an irony, C, a subject, and D, an epigram. So the answer to this question is A, a symbol. A symbol is an object, an idea, or a concept that is used in a literary text that represents something greater than its literal meaning. It represents something that is outside of the literary text and helps to explain the society, things in the society further. So an example of symbol in Maya Angelou's Caged Bird is the caged bird and the free bird. The caged bird is a symbol of members of the American society that have been oppressed by centuries of racial discrimination, while the free bird is a representation of the white members of the society that are free from the oppression and the racial discrimination in the society. So these are examples of symbols. So answer to this question is A, a symbol. Do you have a question? Please feel free to ask a question by clicking the link in the description below. This takes you to my school website. There you can ask a question and a solution will be provided to you within a short period of time. Now on to question 57. A story with elements that have both literal and figurative meanings is A, allegory, B, novella, C, fable, and D, episode. So the answer to this question is allegory. Allegory is a story that has both literal and figurative meaning. It has literal meaning in the sense that when you read the text alone, you begin to get some lessons, some moral lessons from it. But when you read the text in relation to what is going on in society, you begin to see some deeper meanings in the text. An example of an allegory is George Orwell's Animal Farm. On the surface, when you read the text alone, it is teaching you about the effects of greed in the society. While when you look at it on a deeper level and relate it to historical facts and data, you begin to notice that Animal Farm is talking about the Russian Revolution. So it's talking about the things that happened during that era and how it shaped the 20th century. So this is why it's an example of an allegory. So our answer to this question is allegory. Do you have a better explanation or solution to any of these questions? Please feel free to indicate by going down to the comment section below, indicating the question number and the solution you would like to share. Question 58. A tragic hero, according to the Aristotelian precept, must be A, central character after whom the play is named, B, king with deep affection for his subjects, C, noble character with hubris, D, lowly character who suddenly stumbles on some fortunes. So the answer to this question is C, noble character with hubris. Aristotle during his time wrote a book titled Poetics, and he talked about the essential features of both tragedy and comedy. He talked about how a tragic hero is the main character in a tragedy and how he possesses so many virtuous character, and that's what makes him a noble character. He has so many virtuous character that makes him better than the ordinary man, and he also has a very tiny flaw, a single flaw, which is usually called hubris. It is this flaw that eventually leads to his downfall, and that's what makes it a tragedy. So our answer to this question is C, noble character with hubris. Question 59. This question is based on Raider of the Treasure Trove. The poetic device in the expression rage is chief is dash, A, oxymoron, B, simile, C, metaphor, and D, hyperbole. So the answer to this question is C, metaphor. Metaphor is the direct comparison of two objects, ideas, or concepts in order to show their similarities. So in this case, the idea of rage or the concept of rage is compared to a chief, which shows that rage is dominance or in control. So answer to this question is C, metaphor. Question 60. For 7 days it rained that June. A storm half out to sea kept turning around like a dog trying to settle himself on a rock. Who were the fleas that complained in his hair. So this excerpt is from John Obdike's Wash. The image set in the lines above are of A, rain and flood in June, B, discomfort and likely destruction, C, the days of Noah, and D, an animal, insect, and fawn. So the answer to this question is B, discomfort and likely destruction. We can see that in the comparison that is made above. The storm that is half out to sea, turning around, is like a dog that is trying to get himself on the rug. We are also compared to the fleas that complained in the dog's hair. So unlike the storm that is looking for a clear direction and that actually destroys everything that comes in its path, and the dog that is looking for a comfortable place to settle, we are like the fleas that are very insignificant when the storm is trying to find a clear direction and the dog is trying to settle. We are pretty insignificant. We can do nothing about the discomfort and the destruction that we are likely to face. So in this case, the storm is coming with the aim of destroying everything in its way, and we are pretty insignificant. We can do nothing to stop it. So answer to this question is B, discomfort and likely destruction. I believe you're enjoying this content. If yes, please do not forget to hit the like button, click on the subscribe button, and lastly tap on the notification bell to get informed as soon as we release the next videos.